Yeast infection. There is so much research on yeast infection. If you Google yeast infection, you will see so much on it. Actually, yeast infection is caused by Candida albicans. Guys can actually get yeast infection, but it's not very common. Women, we always get all the bad stuff. I don't know why. Yeast infection, at some point in your life, if you've never had yeast infection at this point of your life, girl, I'm happy for you. I've had it, okay? So, yeah, this I'm talking from a place of experience, okay? So, yeast infection is basically just an overgrowth of yeast in the vagina. What causes an overgrowth? It could be anything from introduction of excess yeast in the vagina, or it could just be your body is responsible for maintaining a balance in the growth of yeast in your body. Some women, about 20 to 50% of women, have Candida albicans in their body as normal flora. Normal flora is just regular things that just exist in your body. About 20 to 50%, like I mentioned, who have Candida albicans in your body as normal flora. If you have a situation, so taking like an antibiotic, say for the flagyl you take for BV, so you could go to the doctor and get diagnosed with BV, you're put on flagyl. Antibiotics can deplete the amount of bacteria that's in your vagina and cause the yeast to overgrow, and that's how antibiotics cause yeast infection. So most antibiotics cause yeast infections. Other things that cause yeast infection is, introduction of yeast infection, of extra yeast into your body by maybe your sexual partner. You have to keep your crotch area dry, wear cotton underwears and all that good stuff, you hear about it. Try to eat right. There's some women that if they eat like a lot of refined sugars or breads and stuff, they'll get yeast infections. Those are everybody's different. There's always exceptions to every rule. Some people will get yeast infections right after the periods. Hormonal imbalance can cause yeast infection. So yeast infection is just a thing. If you're exposed to it once, you might get it again. It's just a thing. The hallmark sign of yeast infection is the itching. The itching is not funny, okay? Like, it's bad. It is terrible. And there's also discharge in yeast infection. The discharge, however, has no smell. Yeast infection mostly doesn't have much to do with the pH balance in the vagina. The discharge is usually, they say, like cottage cheese. But let me mention that the discharge could also be not be cottage cheese like kind of discharge. I know this sounds really gross, but it could be like normal consistency, but really itchy and all that bad stuff that comes with it. There's so many over-the-counter treatments for yeast infection. If you've had one yeast infection and got cured before, then you know what it looks like. Then you're advised that, well, you can treat it over the counter. But if you've never had a yeast infection and you're having itching and discharge and whatever, you want to go to the doctor to get properly diagnosed and properly treated. Treatment options for yeast infection. Over the counter, there is Monistat 1, 3, and 7 you insert at night. And it's gonna go away with time. There is also the pill you can take by mouth, which is fluconazole. It's usually one tablet. You just take that. Hopefully it works for you. If not, you have to take another one. There's so many DIY home remedies of yeast infections that I can't even get into in this video. There's the use of garlic, apple cider vinegar. There's so many things that I found when I was doing my research. There's so many things. Yeast infection also, I want to mention that it is not a sexually transmitted disease. You could get new yeast introduced into your body from your partner, but that is not a thing. Like, it's not very common, doesn't happen very often. So basically, how to prevent it, you just want to keep a dry crotch area, a dry vagina area, wear cotton underwears, free underwears, don't contract the whole place. If you can go to sleep without underwears, that is the right thing to do. You should do that anytime you can go by your life without putting on underwears. Ladies, do it, because you're doing yourself a favor. Yeast likes a moist, warm environment, and so infection usually is common and reoccurring in people who are like immune compromised for one reason or the other. Could be diabetes, could be immune compromised from like HIV or whatever. You could be taking some chemo drugs that it's depleting your white blood cells, that making you immune compromised. Pregnant women get yeast infections commonly as well, and people who are taking oral contraceptives, which dials back to the women who get yeast infections when they're after their period. It's the whole hormonal imbalance thing that has to do with yeast infections and stuff. Again, it's important to mention that with antibiotics, there's a very high risk of you getting a yeast infection, which is why doctors usually will advise that you eat like yogurt that contains live cultures of bacteria, live culture bacteria, which is healthy bacteria for your body. Or you could take some probiotics to help prevent yeast infection later. Or some doctors, usually after they prescribe an antibiotic, they will prescribe a yeast, the diflucan or fluconazole that you can take after the full course of treatment to, in case you get a yeast infection. So that's usually a thing. If you go to your doctor and he ever gives you an antibiotic, you want to suggest or ask them if they want to prescribe a yeast infection medication for you, just so that you don't have to come back to the hospital and consult again and all that blah blah blah. So usually some doctors will just prescribe it, in anticipation. Some other doctors will not. If you have had a yeast infection before, honey, it's not a pleasant experience. I would just ask for my diflucan before I leave the doctor's office because I don't want to deal with it. That tablet is very, very good. It works like magic. In 3 days, you're clear, you're good to go. So that's it for BV and yeast infection, or yeast infection and BV. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'm sorry this video is coming so late, but again, I had to take care of life and everything, but I'm sorry this video is coming quite late. I had to take care of a few things in life. I'm on break and I had to just take care of my life a little bit. But I'm back and I'm gonna keep these videos coming. I might have to, since I'm putting this one up late, I'm just gonna have to put the next one right after this one, back to back. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, if you think these videos are informative, please like this video, share it, send it to your little sister who's growing up and doesn't really know anything about all of this. She's coming into her womanhood. Don't let her be like me, that I had to find out everything on the internet and in school. Excuse me. And that's mostly why I'm making these videos, because I feel like this is information that I wish I knew, but I have learned and I want to help, Let your little sisters know, let your little cousins know, let them know. Share this video, okay? These are things that they will encounter later in life. You want to prepare them. You want them to know what to do when the time comes. You get it? You get what I'm saying? You feel my drift? You like my hair? I'm gonna be posting a video of my hair, okay? How I did it. It's I think this is 20 inches because it's really long. It's really long. It's on my waist. And I did it myself and I'm so proud of it. So I'm going to be posting a video on how I achieved this hairstyle next. And thank you for tuning in. Thumbs up this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in my next one.